Hello, it's been a while. I've been doing so many readings lately, which is awesome. I love to do readings, but it's hard to keep up with trans videos at the same time. Um, but in any case, if you want to come get a reading, info in the description to come get a reading. Um, but yeah, there's so much to talk about. We're in the full moon period. Venus has gone into Virgo. Mercury's about to go retrograde. We have Mars retrograde in about a month from now. I think let's go step by step. Um, there's so much Mercury ruled energy out there. We're in Virgo season. Mercury rules Virgo. Mercury rules Gemini. We have Mars in Gemini. We have Venus in Virgo. Even where Mercury is right now in Libra, eventually it'll retrograde. Okay, anyways, that doesn't matter. Long story short, there's a lot of Mercury energy out there. And I think the key is to channel all of this mental energy. And there's a couple of different ways to work with this. So, one, to channel it into enjoying learning, enjoying growing, especially with Jupiter being in Aries right now. I think it's very easy to be excited and to be excited about what we're learning and studying, the information that we're taking in, figuring out new skills, new techniques, etc. And this could be more practical stuff. It could be how to interact with people or not. It could really apply to anything, but whatever it is, it's going to be best to channel all this mental energy into learning something, into communication, listening, speaking, understanding, because that's what we have a ton of energy for. I've been waking up almost, I think, every day this week in the middle of my sleep schedule, to learn things for 2 hours, which quite frankly is not necessarily ideal. But it just goes to show there's so much energy here, and like always with Mars, if we're not expressing the energy, then it's going to still be there, and then it's just going to like erupt things and disrupt things. It can be very challenging. By the way, a possible thing here is to lash out verbally and say things to people that you know, it's like, oh my god, I just said that out loud. Oh, I didn't mean to hurt somebody's feelings. So that's the beauty of astrology. Honestly, I haven't experienced anything like that because I know these energies, and I know it's like, okay, take your time, especially during these times, etc. So for all of us, we can be harsher than we intend to be during this time. I think especially since Venus is in Virgo. The Sun in Virgo adds to this, but the Venus in Virgo especially. These energies, going that way real quick, Venus in Virgo is really hard on itself. It's one of those energies that are rough. It has great gifts, of course. Every energy is equal in gift and challenge. It's just the rough energies present the challenge more so first off, and then you have to kind of find the gifts afterwards. Whereas other energies are a little bit more like, oh, here's beautiful gifts. By the way, there's some challenges, but you won't have to necessarily deal with them right here, right now. So I think with Venus and Virgo, the key is just to not be too hard on ourselves. That energy, I think, especially with the Sun in Virgo, added with Mars in Gemini, which even though Mars in Gemini is more positive and more optimistic and more focused on possibilities and what's good and what do I know, it still can lead to overthinking. We'll get to that in just a moment. Whereas Sun and Virgo energy in general, and I think especially with Venus and Virgo, these energies are focusing on the lack, what needs to be improved, what we're not good at, etc. And that's perfectly natural. It's perfectly great to be focused on these things. That's the whole point of Virgo energy, is to hone things, to fix things, to make things better, to improve. But of course, we don't need to be beating ourselves up emotionally in that process. I think a lot of what Venus and Virgo is all about has to do with the material realm, in particular our bodies, health, etc. So I think for all of us, whenever Venus is in Virgo every year, we have a kind of a check-in period of, okay, am I eating right? Am I happy with how I'm appearing? Am I taking care of my body? Am I sleeping enough? I think there's a big emphasis though on aesthetic appeal. Do I feel like I'm muscular enough? Do I feel like I'm skinny enough? Whatever, for my own liking. And all of that is natural to be thinking of, to make sure that we're living a healthy lifestyle, because of course that's the cornerstone of all of our other health, our emotional health, our mental health, even our spiritual health in a lot of ways has to do with physical well-being. So it's good that these questions come up, but we don't want to be torturing ourselves. We don't want to really be falling into the very natural, very, very tempting trap of feeling bad about ourselves. We can improve and look at what needs to be improved and analyze without hurting our psyches, without hurting our our hearts, and without fixating on it too much with our minds. So I think that's something that's really essential, is just really break it all down. And this also goes for techniques we want to learn, skills we want to learn, knowledge we want to acquire. Don't be too hard on yourself. Don't doubt your ability. Just focus on how, when, I think that's pretty much it, how and when you're going to do that development, to make that progress. Break it down into tangible things. Even if you don't feel like you're super happy with where you are right now, you will get there. It's just a matter of time and staying dedicated to taking care of all of the little details that add up to make certain consequences, certain effects. It's all cause and effect in our lives. So focus on the cause, focus on what you can control, and you can move on from there. And again, at no point should you be feeling bad. That's the whole point, I think, at least the number one point of the body positivity movement, which is very much needed and which is very, very good, which is we need to love our bodies however they are. Even if we want to eventually, sculpt this way or grow that way or whatever, ultimately we should be having love for ourselves that entire time and appreciating our unique beauty, our unique handsomeness, our unique sexiness, whatever that is inherent to where we are right now. So don't beat yourself up. I can't say that enough, especially for the next several weeks. And a lot of that applies too to the bigger picture of overthinking. Meditating is so important if you find yourself overthinking. Again, channeling this energy into actively learning things, actively figuring things out. This is a puzzle piece type energy of like trying to solve jigsaw puzzles of whatever it could be. And actually, doing jigsaw puzzles could be a great way to express this too. There is a fun-loving, game-loving, playful energy with Mars and Gemini too. But I think, and this is something that I need to apply more so in my life, I think it's also important to make sure that you are actively working out. I've been way more focused on the mind the last week than the body, and I've just now in the last couple of days gotten better at this, and I still need to do like more cardio and stuff so that it'll help me to be able to go to sleep and stay asleep instead of waking up suddenly. That's another thing. Wherever Mars is, wherever in our chart, whatever energy it is, if we're not physically exercising, then we're going to experience certain challenges with that energy. So in this case, it's going to be overthinking, the mind being too active. So we really need to exhaust the body in a productive, healthy way. Again, still being body positive, but actively building the body that we seek to actually be physically healthy, and that will help with our mental health at this time as well, to not be overthinking so much, because it's hard to overthink when you have exhausted your body, or certainly it's a lot easier to stop overthinking when your body is exhausted. So I think that's really good to keep in mind too. So I think that's the big picture for all of these energies that we're focused on. Again, learn, have fun. It's so wonderful to be able to learn so much at this time. Last but not least, the full moon. I think that so much of what the full moon is about the overthinking, and I think possibly having an emotional reaction to that, to having an emotional reaction to what we're thinking in general. So that could be a really positive thing, where we feel like we're figuring out the problems in our lives, the puzzles, and we have a positive emotional reaction. We're like, yes, moon in Pisces is giving me faith. It's giving me a sense of wholeness with the universe. It's a very spiritual energy. It's a very emotional energy. So I feel in tune with my mind, my heart, in the broad connection to God, the universe, cosmic consciousness, however you want to understand that, which is within us and all around us. And I think the other thing that's really good to keep in mind is to actively bring in the Sagittarius energy too, because we have a T-square with Mars Gem, all the Sun and Venus and Virgo, and then the Moon and Neptune and Pisces. So focus on the big picture with the Sagittarius. Focus on your hope for the future, your optimism. It's very easy during the next couple days and even the next several weeks to get bogged down in the details. And the key is to definitely focus on the details. We don't want to be fighting against the flow of energy, but we don't want to go too far with it. We also need to work at a higher level as per balancing the energy out and then keeping it in moderation. And that is bringing that Sagittarius, keeping the big picture in mind, looking at the horizon and not just right here, right now. It's like that. What's that saying? It's like missing the forest for the trees, where you just focus on the tree and you forget that there's a huge picture out there. So that's really good to keep in mind. If you're really fixated on something, you're getting caught up in something in your mind, look beyond it. Look at the big picture. Go check out something else for a while. Come back to it when the time is right. I think it's really important to let our curiosity guide us at this point. So for the next several weeks, really for the next like 6 or 7 months, because Mars will be in Gemini for quite a while. Let our curiosity guide us. Oh, there is. Oh, Mercury retrograde. I haven't done a video in forever. We'll get to that in just a moment. And we'll continue to explore Mercury retrograde over the next couple weeks. But yeah, I think let your curiosity guide you. How you wish to grow and improve, it's really wonderful. We can learn so much at this time. Personally, I'm loving learning mixing and mastering for music. It's been so phenomenal, and that's been what the skill set that I've been focused on. And again, keep a positive mindset. Don't focus on, oh, am I ever gonna learn this, or oh, I don't know if I can do this. Like, fuck all that. Let all that stuff go. You don't ever need that for anything. If you feel inspired to go learn something, if you feel curious, go and explore it to whatever extent you like. You don't have to become a master of it, but explore enough that you feel really good with it. And for that matter, master of mastering. I am very focused on mixing and mastering to that next level, because that will help me as an artist, as a songwriter, to take my skills to the next level. So for those who do want to follow through with things, again, we have a lot of energy for the next 6.5 months, and especially for the next several weeks of intensive study and learning to be able to work with, to follow through and master stuff. Those skills, techniques, knowledge base, etc. So bring in as much input as possible. It's really important. And last again, but certainly not least again, Mercury is going retrograde. So this is all the more emphasis on all of this Mercury ruled energy. As always, take your time with Mercury retrograde. Don't try and force things. I think especially with all the Mercury ruled energy, delays will happen, miscommunications will happen. Make room for them in your schedule so you can correct them and won't get overwhelmed. Don't overcommit yourself. And I think something else that's really cool is, this is the first time that I've felt Mercury retrograde so early. I'm a Gemini with Mercury Gemini, so I'm pretty sensitive to Mercury's vibration in general. And by the way, for the next couple of days with Mercury going retrograde, because I think it goes retrograde in the next 24 hours, basically today, Friday. And it'll be retrograde for about, as always, like 2.5, 3 weeks, something like that. We'll cover it as time goes on. But I felt this Mercury. Oh, sorry, back up. So all of us might feel, especially us Geminis and Virgos, or those who have Moon and Rising, or Virgo or Gemini or somewhere in there, or the House of Virgo, House of Gemini for one of the main 3 energies, or Mercury in Virgo or Gemini especially. There might be a couple days of like a kind of a shift. You might feel a little funky the next couple days. That's normal, totally cool. Enjoy it, enjoy the transition. It's just energy as always, and it's really nice. It's a lot to offer us. But this is the first time I felt Mercury about to go retrograde. I felt it like a week ago. It's been a really powerful thing. So that's neither good nor bad. People think retrogrades are bad. They're not. They're truly not. It does require a different approach. We got to be more patient. But that's the cool thing is with Mercury retrogrades, I appreciate it, I swear, more and more every time we experience it, every Mercury retrograde season, because it's such a great chance to turn backwards and look at things that we haven't finished, whether it's conversations that we need to have with other people, whether we finished it or not, but it's like continuing things to that next part. So it's like a conversation we didn't finish, or a conversation we really need to have with this person I haven't talked to in a long time. Okay, that's beautiful. This is the time period for it, because otherwise, without retrogrades, we would just keep on moving forward in the sense of what we think forward is, which is that motion. But we now have to take 2 steps forward, 1 step back, 2 steps forward, 1 step back. That's the best way, because then we make sure we don't overcorrect things, to make sure that we keep everything in balance. So that's really important to keep in mind, is the beauty of that. And I think there's a major role of reconnecting with people we haven't talked to in a while with Mars and Gemini here. It's also reviewing things that we've been working on before, finishing projects. Like, for example, I'm finally going to finish the book. I know over the next couple months, finally finish editing it, because technically I've finished it. I just need to finish editing it and do the final read through it all with it, speed read, etc. So anyways, gonna go for a project. But I think especially conversations, it's been really cool. A really dear friend of mine who I hadn't talked to for about 3.5 years, I hung out with her recently, and it was a really nice way to clear up the air, because it was weird for those 3.5 years. Time flies, so it's wild that so much time passed. But that's really, I think, what Mars in Gemini is bringing to the foreground with this Mercury retrograde season, especially for the next week or so with Mercury being in Libra, is communicating with people that you haven't talked to for a while. In particular, if there's been some air that needs to be really cleared out, if there's just been misunderstandings or just difference of opinions or perspectives, this is a really great opportunity to be able to make it all fresh again and clear away all that stuff and move forward. And there's actually two other really dear friends who I haven't talked to in a long time. One almost like over a decade, who also I feel like I'm going to be able to reconnect with during this time. And that's really cool. It's nice that it feels natural, it doesn't feel forced, and it feels like it could be really positive. And I could reconnect and move forward, keep things fresh, again, fresh air. So I think that's really good to keep in mind, is reconnect with people from your past. And one last thing is, it's also, it's a tricky thing to each our own to figure out the balance of it. But on the one hand, it's like, okay, certain conversations from the past need to be had, certain things need to be said and heard and understood to be able to move forward. But also make sure you don't beat a dead horse with it. That's really a terrible phrase. I hate that phrase. But you get what I'm saying. Like, when I saw that friend, like, yeah, she needed to say some things to clear the air. I needed to say some things to clear the air. Actually, I did about even a couple of weeks ago, and that kind of set the precedent for this. But yeah, at the same time, like, once things are said, move forward, let it go. There's no need to keep bringing it up or whatever. It's like, as long as it's understood, it's been said, and like both people feel good about it, move forward. That's important, because with these energies, I think it can be easy to get caught up in old squabbles or old misunderstandings, and it's like that's not necessary. That's not what these energies are really offering us at this time. It's a chance to cover the old ground and then definitively move forward. And that's really the story of Mercury retrograde in general. So for the next couple of weeks, it's good to keep in mind for everything in our life, projects we're working on, as well as our relationships and conversations and whatnot with our loved ones and whoever else we need to talk to. As always, I'm doing more readings. I'm going to take the next couple of days off after my scheduled reading because I'm exhausted. But next week, I'm back at it. I have so much energy for doing readings. I am doing more music than ever. So later on this year, I'm going to be a little bit more focused on music. Maybe it'll even be the beginning of this next year. I don't know, but it's coming up. So I'm not trying to pressure anyone. I'll always be doing readings, but that being said, especially for the next couple of years, I'm going to go hard doing music, which is actually what I do most of the time. I love astrology. I always do astrology. I'm going to finish all of these books that I've started. I have 4 books to finish for the next couple of years. So that's all coming. More videos are coming. But just a heads up, if you are wanting a reading, come get a reading, because I may not be able to do a reading even in the near-ish future, the next couple months. I might be booked up because I won't have as much time to devote to it. So anyways, no pressure. Who knows? If it's meant to be, it will be in the future or now. But if you're interested, then definitely check it out. In the description of this video is the info to be able to get in contact with me and set up a reading. And I have like 130 something 5-star reviews on my Facebook page, Will the Astrologer, and I've done so many more readings. I love doing readings. It's a huge part of my life. It's a great joy. But anyways, if you're interested, check that out. Infinite love to you, my friends. Enjoy the full moon. Enjoy Mercury retrograde. Don't be too hard on yourself. Enjoy learning and growing, and know that there's no limit to how much we can achieve by our curiosity and our knowledge and our growth. If we feel stuck with something, we just got to learn something. I think, generally speaking, that's going to be the main key to keep in mind during this time period. We just got to learn something new. We need to have a good conversation with somebody else and get a new perspective on things. It can really help. Infinite love to you, my friends. Namaste. Peace.